two significant advantages to fishing a dry fly down and across the current. When fishing across the main current in a pool into some slower water on the far side, fishing down and across gives you a longer drag-free float. The fish also sees the fly before it sees the leader, and in challenging situations this can be a huge advantage. Once you've mastered a good basic casting stroke, the next most important thing you can learn is a reach mend. A reach mend is performed immediately after you've completed the cast. You simply swing the rod upstream, holding a little higher up off the water. I like to shoot a little bit of line at this stage so I don't shorten the cast. Once the fly is on the water, lower the rod tip and swing it downstream. You can also feed more slack by placing some slack between your line hand and the stripping guide. Use a short, quick vertical flip of your rod tip to put the slack on the water. Love that sound. Don't you love that sound? A little tick. I don't know what we got down here for weeds and things, Russell. I'll have to go down and have a look. It didn't feel like it broke. I think it pulled out, but that was so cool. He sipped that so nicely. Another thing you can do is to cast down and across a few inches beyond the fish's feeding lane. Then lift your rod tip to drag the fly into the feeding lane and drop your rod to feed the slack into the line and let the fly float over the fish.
There. Oh, I got that.
This fish was feeding just in front of that log, beneath a bunch of overhanging branches. In this particular case, the only way to float a fly to the trout was by casting down and across. I was extremely fortunate when the fish came straight out of his feeding lie and out into the pool. An extreme case of a high reach mend is what I call a J cast. I borrowed the name from a canoe stroke in which the paddle moves in the shape of a J. Watch the rod tip travel. Finishing very high like this allows you to immediately feed slack by lowering the rod tip. When floating dry flies from a moving boat, fishing down and across can give you a chance at a much longer drag-free drift. Once again, finish high and lower the rod tip to feed some slack into the cast. Reach mends and simple upstream mends can be very effective. I try not to move the fly with the mend. However, sometimes a little twitch can trigger a really cool strike. Practice your reach mends. Remember to finish the cast first, then reach the rod tip across your body, finishing high. Then lower the rod tip to feed some slack into the cast.
Textbook release. Oh, my ass is really big in these waves.